All right, guys. Today I am going to talk to you about the one thing that you should be doing right now if you are pivoting to brand photography. So I'm just gonna get cozy while we jump right into this. So, this is one thing that was probably the biggest difference that I felt between wedding and family photography and then brand photography. So, let me back up. Before I was a brand photographer, I did weddings, I shot families, I had a pretty good system down. I was booked pretty much every season, pretty successful, I guess you could say, but I was just like dying inside because that wasn't really my passion. I didn't love, and family photography was just something I just kind of fell into, and it was okay. But I decided branding is where I'm at. I did some mini sessions for branding, total flop, financial failure, but I fell in love, and since then I've basically only been doing branding photography, and that was 2018, 2019, and so but when I decided to pivot, I was like, okay, so now I'm pivoting. What the heck do I do to get clients? And I see this all the time in like various groups is like, how are you guys getting clients? Like, I want to get into brand photography, but how are you finding clients? And the number one responses, or a lot of the common threads between all the responses, are networking and referrals. And so I'm just going to echo that. And I know you're probably thinking, okay, networking, like I hate doing that. I'm an introvert, whatever. But I have to say that this is probably the biggest bang for your buck, is to get out and put yourself in front of other entrepreneurs. So for me, what this looked like, it actually wasn't like, suit and tie networking events. It was having coffee meetups with other female entrepreneurs. It was engaging in Facebook groups where local entrepreneurs in my area would talk about business. It was, maybe occasionally going to the event at night where it was a speaker panel and other entrepreneurs or online service providers would be at. It really wasn't overwhelming in the sense of like having to dress up in a suit and tie and go to networking events. So for me, that's really what it meant in terms of networking, and that's really what started to push the dial for my business. So I was meeting entrepreneurs. I ended up meeting several really great women in one particular group, and one of the women ended up giving me $5,000 worth of referrals without even being a client of mine. But what it really did is it started getting my name out there. It started allowing people to say, oh, you know what, you should check out Jessie Wyman. She's great, whatever. So I want you guys to think about that as you're pivoting to brand photography. What I want you to also do, now this is really important, and I highly suggest you start doing it now as you're getting yourself in front of your ideal client in these networking opportunities, is in the back end, start building up your SEO. Now, SEO is a long game. It's not going to happen overnight. I think in a perfect world, we would love all of our referrals to come from Google or come from Instagram, but sometimes it takes longer. That's why building those in-person relationships with real people, networking, is really important up front. And then from there, build your SEO. So it took about a year for my SEO to get traction. And you're probably asking, okay, how did I do that? And really, it was through blogging. I started blogging twice a month and having those keywords strategically in the blog. I'm in the Boston area, so I would make sure to use Boston headshot photographer, Boston brand photographer, all of those keywords in my blogs and in the copy along my website. So yeah, and then the other thing that you need to do if you're just starting out is make sure you have a portfolio. And then once you have a portfolio, make sure to only show that on your social feeds and on your digital platforms. One of the mistakes that I see photographers make is showing everything. And what you can do, it's a little bit harder to attract a brand or personal brand or a business when you also show wedding photography and you also show families, because they're going to say, well, is she a wedding photographer or a family photographer? When it comes to business and investing, they want to know that their investment is sound and that they're going to book someone that can handle all the aspects of a shoot, produce the shoot, and also make sure that the images are going to be what they need for their marketing budget. Like, they're coming to you basically to market their business. not for you to promote it, but to create imagery so that they can then market their business. So those are I want you guys to start thinking about networking first, everything else second or third. That's what you want to focus on. Get out in those groups. If you're in a small town or a rural area, this may be a little bit more challenging. You may need to travel a little bit. You may need to even start your own networking groups yourself and actually be the leader to meet other entrepreneurs in your area. If you guys are wanting more of this, I want you to grab my freebie, How to Get More Clients as a Brand Photographer. I'll link it up in the description. You guys can grab that. And if you have questions, feel free to comment below. I hope you're enjoying this, and stay tuned for the next episode.